What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Economic Prepper here. Hope you guys are doing very well today. Interesting one. We went from food shortages to gas shortages to worries of the banking system, economic collapse, which the banking system is still it's definitely a concern for millions of Americans, but not for the reason that you might expect. The housing market is going through this economic transition it's a little bit unusual, because the Fed was expecting that the raising of the interest rates in their attempt to bring down high inflation, borderline encroaching on the boundaries of hyperinflation, they were anticipating that the housing market would have been crashing by now. The Fed made a pretty good amount of progress in terms of crashing the stock market, but as we can see here, the Fed Chair Jerome Powell hasn't pulled back on raising interest rates at this point. Essentially, interest rates are still headed north, but if you've been keeping an eye on the stock market, multiple Fortune 500 companies, S&P 500 companies you might find on the NASDAQ, Dow Jones Industrial Average, they've already reported layoffs. Thousands of people have already been laid off of many companies, to the likes of Walmart, Redfin, Shopify, some other companies that are doing layoffs right now. Heck, even DoorDash I think DoorDash laid off almost 1,300 employees. Now, the thing is, as far as I know, as far as DoorDash is concerned, it's not the employees that are generating revenue for the business. So though the revenue generating employees, they're still employed. But technically, the revenue generating employees, they're more like contractors. They're 1099 workers. They're self-employed entrepreneurs that are pretty much leveraging DoorDash and other food delivery services, maybe even Lyft. A lot of people combine DoorDash with Lyft, with Uber, with Walmart Spark to basically create a very efficient collection of apps that will pay them, that will create multiple streams of income, and whichever app happens to ding their phone, that's the one they respond to. And so it kind of like makes their time more effectively used. I met a lot of, I used to get Lyft rides all the time. I never really used Uber. I always, for whatever reason, I gravitated toward Lyft. Maybe it was the marketing, the branding, maybe it was the I don't know, maybe it was the logo, I don't know. But whatever the case is, I spoke to a number of people on Lyft who were making big money back when it first came out. Met a guy in Las Vegas. He was making, like, when I say big money for just a brand new app and like a side hustle. Like, so I met a guy in Las Vegas. I think we were going from I think we were staying in the Palazzo Hotel, and we were just trying to get a quick ride over to Cosmopolitan. There was some club we were going to hang out in. Anyway, so this quick ride opened my eyes to this brand new side hustle. And basically the guy was saying he was doing it part-time. He had a full-time job. He said he was doing Lyft part-time, and he was making like 70 grand a year in revenue. I don't know what his expenses were like, but he was generating like 70 grand a year on the side, outside of his full-time job. Now, that was then. I don't know what you can make on Lyft or Uber now. I'd probably have to survey the market and see what people are doing. But the simple fact of the matter is that the Fed, their goal was to crash our economy. The Fed said there would be softening in the labor market. There would be softening in the economy. The Fed said that they would be, more likely causing somewhere between 1 and 2 million jobs to be lost as the aftermath of the Fed's interest rate hikes work their way throughout our economy. So here we are today, And some people are actually making more money today than they ever have. And, this is probably what the Fed expected, but they didn't say publicly. We've also seen the housing market react to the Fed's interest rate hikes. We've seen home sales volume slow down. So home sale volume has slowed down tremendously, but we're not really seeing this massive housing market crash that a lot of people were expecting. I'm not seeing it in my area. But what we are seeing is that the transactions, the velocity of homes being sold has slowed down quite a bit. But here's the funny thing, homes are still being sold. Don't let the media lie to you like no one's able to sell houses and, homes are just, crashing in value. You're going to see pockets of real estate depreciation. But by and large, homeowners, most people at this point, I think it's like 80% of homeowners at this time have a 30-year or 15-year fixed rate mortgage, fixed rate, with an interest rate on those mortgages of less than 5%. Many people under 4%. Many people, like myself, under 3%. I'm not even paying 3% interest on my mortgage. So I have no desire to sell my house. And the funny thing is I gotta tell you guys something about this, right? The funny thing is about home values don't matter. And I'm gonna tell you why they don't matter, right? Well, they kind of do matter, but they don't really matter, right? So most homeowners, if they're like spreadsheet freaks or if they're staring at financial news all the time, they might be worried about what their house is worth today. What is my house going to be worth in next year or whatnot, right? But I'm gonna tell you why it doesn't matter, or I'm gonna tell you why you kind of want your home value to go down or not appreciate too quickly. So think about it. Your home value doesn't really matter unless two things happen. Number one, if you need to sell your house, that's when it matters. But if you're not looking to sell your house, it doesn't matter. If you're looking to buy a house or sell your house, that's the main reason why it would ever matter. But the second reason why it would ever matter is your home value dictates how much property taxes you're going to be charged every single year. So if you buy your house and you're like getting geeked over the fact that your house is going up in value like $10,000 a week, which I bought property and I was literally seeing these real estate properties appreciate to the extent of $40,000 a month, $50,000 a month. Now, why do I really care about that? Like, it was cool to see the numbers on the paper. It's like, oh man, the house is, when you close on the house and 2 months later, you see that the house is worth $80,000 more than what you paid for it, even though you outbid other people by, $80,000, that's a good feeling. It is a good feeling. It's an emotional satisfaction behind it. Your net worth is increasing as a result of your property appreciating and exceeding how much debt that is held on the property in the form of the mortgage. So that's cool to see your net worth increase $80,000 passively in a matter of a couple of months doing nothing, just on one property. Like, imagine you got multiple properties and lots of other investments. You might see your net worth increase a couple $100,000 a month. But I'm gonna save that information for another video, how that can happen and how pretty much anyone can make that happen for themselves. But the thing is if you buy a house, let's say you buy a house today and your house goes up in value by like $300,000 in 18 months. Now, obviously, $300,000 in 18 months is probably only realistic for a house that's over $1 million in value, because otherwise that would be a substantial, almost ridiculous rate of growth for a house that would be let's say you bought a house for $400,000. Chances are it's not going to be worth $700,000 in 18 months in most markets. Although in the pandemic that might have happened, but look at it like this. So your house goes up in value, big whoop. Why do I care? Aside from the fact that it looks cool on the spreadsheet and your net worth goes up because of it, what difference does it make? Unless you're looking to pull cash out of the house or flip that real estate, why do you really care that the house appreciated that fast if you're planning to live in the house for the next 10 years, right? So ideally, the house, like, this is the perfect scenario for people. You buy a house, you stay in the house for however long you want to stay in it, but the home doesn't appreciate for 90% of the time that you're there. And then in the last 10% of your occupancy of the house, then the property goes up in value, as much as it can. Why? Why would you want that scenario? Well, ideally, in a scenario like that, that would allow you to own the house as cheaply as possible for the time that you're living there. And then you benefit from the appreciation of the property just before you sell it. Why would I want to just pay high as hell property taxes for 9 years if I had the choice, if I could choose to say, hey, let's just go ahead and keep these real estate properties values suppressed for 9 years, and then in year 10 let that sucker rip, right? So 9 years you're paying discounted property taxes, saving yourself tens of thousands of dollars over the life of the ownership of this particular piece of real estate. And then on the year you sell, the property, the housing market just booms, real estate values go through the roof, and maybe you pay higher taxes that 1 year, but the previous 9 years you paid very reduced levels of taxes. So, for those who are concerned about their real estate property value declining for, any period of time, as long as you're not looking to sell during that window of time where real estate values may depreciate, then it doesn't really matter. It's a moot point. So, in fact, you could even argue that, you could reach out to your county tax property assessor's office and say, hey, real estate is down in my area, reassess my property, potentially get your property taxes lowered and save yourself thousands of dollars. I don't know if a lot of people look at it like that, but I do. But yeah, so anyway, so I actually got some information, some insider information, and it's crazy because a lot of people are freaking out about real estate, rent prices, where's the economy going, housing market. So, I've been paying attention to what's going on in my local economy, and I realized that there is a development, a live, work, play, development, multi-use property development, real estate development went up in my area, and I was curious to know how much it costs. Now, it took several $100 million to build this complex out. All sorts of stuff in there, right? Entertainment, restaurants, offices. They're building a hotel. They're building all sorts of stuff in this vicinity, right? In this complex. What is it? I don't know if it's townhouses or condos, but basically you can purchase either townhouses or condos. You can rent as a renter. They have senior living. They have all sorts of stuff there. They have office leases available if you need to lease office space for your small business, or maybe maybe it's a large business and they want a satellite office there. So this development took several $100 million to build. It created 1,500 temporary construction jobs, and it's created over 2,000 permanent jobs through all the different businesses that are there. Hospitality, retail, restaurant, entertainment, office positions, real estate, leasing related positions, all sorts of jobs got created. So if you have real estate in that area, if you own a property in that area, that property is more than likely going to be worth a tremendous amount more over the next 5 years as the demand to be in this high growth area, and it's like an entertainment space. So as the demand and the awareness of this complex continues to gain awareness, more and more people are going to want to be there. I'm already seeing a tremendous amount of increased traffic in the area. Now, obviously, traffic in the area is a downside, but the real estate appreciation is an upside. And this is also encouraging so many more businesses to want to open business in the vicinity. So while, if you live in the area, you might see more and more traffic, but you won't necessarily have to drive as far because there's more stuff local to you. You don't have to drive far. Everything's nearby. And this is why it's such an attraction. Nothing draws a crowd quite like a crowd. This is what old P.T. Barnum said back in, I think, the 1800s. And it's true. When you see a crowd of people staring at something, you generally want to see what people are staring at. This is why traffic on the other side of the interstate creates traffic on the side where there's no, this is why accidents on the other side of an interstate creates traffic on the side where it's clear. Why? Because when there's a crowd, when there's emergency vehicles with lights flashing on the other side, or there's an overturned vehicle and everyone over there, traffic is stopped for miles. Everyone on the other side wants to see what's going on over there. What's everyone looking at? And it's the same thing with real estate. In addition to that, found out that they're expanding some highways, and I started digging deeper to find out why are they expanding these highways and creating new routes, only to find out that a multi-generational development's going up that is likely to cost around close to $1 billion to completely build out, but it's going to create an enormous number of jobs in the vicinity. And this particular county is seeking federal funding to get a federal grant to help pay for this. And so I predict that there's going to be a massive explosion of jobs and opportunity in businesses, revenue, tax revenue, profits for businesses. There will be more wealth built. There will be more wealth created in the next 30 to 100 years if you're properly positioned to take advantage of this. There will be an enormous amount of wealth generated. I'm taking this one. There will be an enormous amount of wealth created during this time frame. This is that wealth transfer that I've been talking about in previous videos. This is that wealth transfer that I've been talking about in previous videos. So if you're properly positioned, you and your family could potentially see your net worths increase dramatically in a fairly short period of time. But it's for those who are paying attention. It's for those who have put themselves into a position, increase their credit scores, TransUnion, Experian, Equifax, figure out where your credit score is at, look at what you need to improve that, start building some wealth for yourself, for your family. And my area is not the only area where this form of opportunity in real estate exists. And while a lot of areas, every real estate is local, so it really depends on where you live. Situations are always going to be different, but pay attention to where you live. Find out what developments are going up in and around your vicinity. And when you figure these things out, you can get an early, because most people aren't going to research. Most people have no idea what's going on around them. When you can find out what's going up that could create a real estate value appreciation in the future, then you know where you might want to purchase land. You know where you might want to purchase property, real estate. And this could be commercial real estate. This could be residential real estate. But Wayne Gretzky, I don't know, I don't watch hockey, but Wayne Gretzky, famous hockey player in the NHL, he always said, you don't want to go where the hockey puck is. You want to go to where the hockey puck will be. And that same strategy and logic applies with investing, whether it's investing in a business, investing in real estate, investing in the stock market, whatever the case is, investing in cryptocurrency. Go where the hockey puck will be. Know where it's at now, but pay attention to the trajectory of the hockey puck and anything that might affect its trajectory in the future, and go to where you think it will be. Position yourself so that you're where it will be, and that's how you win the game.